Well, it's a bit of a first here for ME1 TV. We've never been on a tour bus before, and we've never interviewed rival sons before, and so we're killing two birds with one stone. Very excited to be with the lead singer, Jay Buchanan, of probably one of the most talked about and buzziest, most on the up bands in the world at the moment, and they're playing tonight here at the Roundhouse in Camden. Jay, welcome to Camden.
Thank you very much. It's always good to be here. My first trip to London ever. I stayed in Camden, just down the road, and it's always good to come back.
Yeah, I understand, actually, your first gig was possibly at the Camden, was it the Barfly?
Yeah, I was at the Barfly just across the way.
Yeah.
And it was very exciting for us because we hadn't played here before, and it's a tiny upstairs club, but it was a warm welcome. Getting to play for a sold out audience. I think it was only 100 or 200 or something like that.
Yeah.
And our friends that we hadn't seen over here, we had played with them in L.A. Vintage Trouble opened the show, and so it was nice to run into them and. It was good. It's been an uphill climb from there.
Well, it's been an uphill climb, but a rather rapid and very successful one. Could you have believed that only a couple of years later you'd be here at a much bigger venue, having and all the accolades and the awards and the recognition that the band have received in the meantime?
I think I feel very fortunate, and I know the rest of the band feels that way too. You don't necessarily expect those things to happen. You just it's kind of like one foot in front of the other, And as the crowds keep growing and the fan base keeps growing, and you hear that people are saying nice things about you, it's pretty mind blowing. It really is. It's mind blowing, and you have to, or you realize that you're that guy in somebody else's life.
Sure.
That you're
the hero of some youngsters and some other people your own age.
Yeah, that's very special, and it continues to blow my mind, actually.
And how do you avoid the mind being blown completely? Do you manage to relax and kick back on tour and get out and see some of the sites that you're touring around?
Well, as often as possible. The scheduling, with touring makes it difficult. It depends on whether or not you have a day off. We have a day off tomorrow here in town, so that's going to be nice. Get to see some friends and everything. But on having your mind blown, I try to blow my mind as often as possible. The trappings or whatever of the lifestyle and the breakneck pace of touring in of itself can really be disorienting. But you learn to travel with comfort zones, and make sure that you keep your partying to a minimum, and be responsible about that, and also get exercise every day and eat well and call home.
Casting our minds back to, was it 2009 when the band formed?
Yeah, it was actually late 2008.
Right.
And, it feels just like yesterday. And, on one hand you have that, and then on the other hand, it feels like it's been 20 years. When you look at the way that things stretch out that way, and the amount of ground that we've covered, and the massive amount of touring that we've done, and all of the different countries and all of that. But yeah, we got started in late 2008, and fortunately we didn't have to stay around town for very long. We were able to sign with Earache Records pretty quickly and get over here and get to work.
Yeah, am I right in thinking though that initially you weren't too sure about the project, and it was perhaps a different departure in terms of style for you because you were more blues based?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't have seen myself doing this as a vocation and a full-time thing. But at the same time, it's been incredible, and I have grown to have a different perspective on this genre of music altogether that I wasn't quite aware of before. Rock and roll and all of that rock and rolliness, or whatever you want to call it, it always seemed to be so posture driven, and I was always a songwriter at heart. And so I think that it's been a great time cultivating the artistry within the genre. You know what I mean? Like trying to write songs that do have as, you know, as much gravity as you can muster in a short form, you know, riff-driven song like that. But it's really been a fantastic puzzle, a constant puzzle to try to solve each time we go in to make a record.
And you're currently in the midst of a tour of the UK, which is now through March and April of 2015.
Yeah.
And you're, I suppose, promoting the last album, Great Western Valkyrie.
That is correct.
How would, for those who haven't heard any of your music, could you sort of sum it up for them?
Right.
Give them an idea of
here it comes.
what to expect.
Here it comes. I really do think that we hold a strong ethic of it's rock and roll music. It's absolutely blues based. We venture into some psychedelia, you know, in different aspects, and really we try to branch out stylistically, you know, and push the parameters of the genre. And I think that some people would hear this that are familiar with what we do, and they'd go, "Oh yeah, that sounds pretty self-important," or "You guys just play rock and roll. There's nothing that heady about it." But I think that if you were to come and see us play live, you would you'd get a lot of energy from it, because I know, and I'm not speaking about myself necessarily. It's the guys in the band that I'm fortunate enough to play with. There's an incredible amount of energy and synergy on stage, and we try to keep things really fast and loose up there.
Okay.
And immediate. So it's you know, we've used the term visceral so many times it seems trite now, but that really is what it is. It's a brawl, really, on stage. It's the sound of 5 guys soloing all the time over each other.
Right. Okay. And when it comes to songwriting, is that an ongoing process, or very much you get to an end of a tour and say, right, now we've got to, you know, write some more songs? Or will you be writing songs on acoustics in here and on the road?
I think it's really all of the above. For our records, we don't write until we get into the studio. And we do that in order to capture that immediate flashpoint, that creative flashpoint, when a song it's at its birth and we aren't familiar with it. And so we're still like hanging on for dear life when we go to record it. And hopefully that, you know, we work really hard to try to capture that energy and to make it an honest experience, you know, because I feel like a lot of that has been lost in this archaic genre, you know, that is rock and roll. So we really try to capitalize on that energy that we have in the exchange with each other in the studio, and just write it and record it that same day. But you know, you're asking about writing on the bus or whatever. I write just about every day for a little bit, and it's really a matter of keeping the sword sharp, you know, for when you're called into the battle of the studio.
Fair enough. And tonight there'll be an army of fans here. I understand it's sold out, and it's quite a big venue to be filling. What can the fans be expecting? Something old, something new?
I think, yeah. Again, it'll be all of the above. We have the good fortune of pulling from 5 releases of 5 different records in the 6 years that we've been together, and I think that, you know, tonight they're going to get a little bit from each record, you know, and we're going to give them a little bit of an acoustic midsection.
Oh, okay.
Trying to do that. We've actually become that band.
There's nothing wrong with the acoustic midsection.
Yeah, well, it sounds corny, but it works, and I think it provides for a well-rounded experience for the night, for everybody that comes. I'm really excited about tonight. You know, the Roundhouse is a very highly esteemed stage, and we've always said that we wanted to play here.
Well, it is.
We finally made it.
Am I right in thinking, though, you may have played the Classic Rock Awards here? It may have been only a couple of songs or something, an acoustic.
Yeah, we did that. We played 2 songs a few years back, and just getting to be in this building with all of that royalty, just music royalty there watching us.
Yeah, right.
It's a daunting experience, and I remember being here and and seeing everyone in the audience and they're watching us play.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah. What are the lyrics? So suddenly it's like, oh my God,
exactly.
mind
Yeah.
blank.
Yeah, you go blank. But yeah, that was the first time and that I had ever been in this venue, in the Roundhouse. And as soon as we walked in, earlier for sound check and everything, walking into an empty venue of that size and looking at it and remembering the times that we've been here for award ceremonies or seeing other people play and going, wow, this is our theater tonight. This is ours for the night.
It is, and it looked. I mean, when I just walked in there with the, you've got some projections on the back of the stage. It looks quite an imposing arena. It's an exciting stage setup you've got there.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I haven't heard of the sound.
Yeah, it's kind of a panoramic view.
Yeah,
you know, we've got the advantage of the whole place being round, and so from a sound and an audio perspective, that's a little bit weird to deal with.
Yeah, I don't know what the acoustics are like here, but I do know that it has a very rich history. I was talking to Jerry Horton from Papa Roach and explained to him that this is where David Bowie sort of launched his career and various other of the great acts like The Who and Eric Clapton.
It's definitely an honor. Anytime you get to step on a stage of that, esteem, it's more than anything, I'm just excited.
And how will you prepare for the show tonight? Do you eat at a certain time?
Oh yeah, I mean for me, because of what I do, I basically lunch is it. You eat around 1 o'clock, and then because if I have anything in here with all of the cardio that I'm getting on stage and the constant hyperventilating and all of the stuff, if you have if you're trying to digest anything, it's your worst nightmare.
Right. So you're running off adrenaline rather than sort of food blood sugar, as it were, if you're to analyze it.
Well, yeah, and it all comes down to energy and the transference of energy and all of those things that music is. And by making yourself empty,
I see.
You can be just a clearer conduit that way.
Yeah, I got you.
And you're not going to be sidetracked by, I shouldn't have eaten that one thing or whatever. You're light on your feet.
Yeah, I've got you.
And you're hungry, and it provides for a better experience for me. Okay,
and finally, Jay, what's planned for the rest of the year for Rival Sons? Is it more touring, some relaxing, or some recording, whatever?
Well, yeah, it's definitely touring. We're going to be touring until the year's end. We may be able to take some time off to record the next record. We're kind of deliberating about that right now. So we don't have anything, set in stone. We're trying to make it work, though. We want to make another record, before the year's end, but lining all of those things up with our scheduling and all of that.
Yeah.
We're trying to put it all into place, because spending too long on one album cycle, it just wears you out, because artistically the greatest thing is to always be able to go in and know that you are able to reaffirm your identity, by creating something new and proving it to yourself as well as to your fan base, but seeing how fast your horse can run. From a live perspective and with touring, we get to do that. But you kind of top out there, and then that it's time. You need a new blood transfusion, so to speak, and so we try to keep the time in between our records as short as possible, but there's an industry behind it that supports what we're doing, and they need time to do what they're doing. And all of the various territories of the record getting out, and radio and all of that, all of those things, they're mind-numbing. on the onset, it helps get the music to more and more people. But yeah, we really want to get in there and make another record like ASAFP.
Well, the sense of anticipation and excitement here at the Roundhouse is actually quite palpable. I can sense it, and I'm really looking forward to the gig. I've got to convince Kaz Mercer, your PR woman, that I'm allowed a ticket, because I know it's a very hot ticket, but if I can go, I will go, because, as I said before, this is one of the most exciting bands in the world. It's been a great pleasure talking to the lead singer, Jay Buchanan, tonight, and do a good gig, man.
Yeah, I'm going to work on that, Piers. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's where all my focus is going now.
Good stuff.